Hello, everybody, and welcome to Fortress Comic News, episode 305. I'm one of your hosts, Chris, alongside my co-host, your Mike. It's popping, Mike.
Nothing, man. What's going on? How was the week?
It's been a good week.
Yeah?
Been hopelessly addicted to Hogwarts Legacy.
Yeah, same here. Before we get into that, we do have an interview today. Rich Dueck. We're going to talk about Birth of Shadows coming out for IDW. We read the book, so we're going to chat a little bit about it. But yeah, okay, Hogwarts Legacy. It's very addicting. And I was having no issues with it running on Steam Deck because I was traveling all week last week. So, yeah, I still got to sink like at least 3 to 4 hours in it on a plane. So I was pretty happy about that.
Did you do the side quest where you buy a shop at Hogsmeade?
No, but that sounds awesome.
Okay. So this is the only thing I've come across the entire game. That mission, like, it involves going into this like labyrinth.
Yeah.
And it is glitchy as all hell. I had to reload my save like 4 times. Because it
Yeah.
would literally get you to a point where you couldn't move forward.
Oh, that's awful.
Yeah. Other than
Yeah,
that, it's been stellar.
You're playing on console?
Yeah, PS5.
Okay. Yeah, it's because I've heard of some issues with PC, but not console yet. Yeah, it's a lot of fun though. And I will see, a lot of parts I glitch out when there's like a ton of shit going on, a ton of enemies casting spells and stuff. My Steam Deck just doesn't know what to do. Overall, still enjoying it. It's crazy, man. The next couple months, a lot of cool video games coming out. Sucks because I'm not going to drop money in all of them.
Yeah, I got like a ton of trade credit from we have like a locally owned game store.
Okay. Uh-huh.
And I got a ton of trade credit from them because I sold a bunch of stuff to them.
Nice.
So I basically pre-ordered the next like 4 months of video games through them. And
Nice.
Essentially got them for free.
Yeah.
So I've got Callisto Protocol and Dead Space coming this week.
Mm-hmm.
Jedi Survivor.
Oh, yep.
Advance Wars 1 and 2 rebooted, or whatever they're calling it.
Mm-hmm.
And the Metroid Prime
Yeah.
HD.
Yeah, the Metroid Prime HD is pretty sick. That was the GameCube one, right?
Yeah, I never actually played it because I never owned a GameCube.
That was like the only Metroid game I actually did play, so I might have to get it again. I'm a sucker for like when they re-release old games I played as a kid. That's why I love like limited run games where they like do those prints of like old games like Zombies Ate My Neighbors, and I have a Turok, my N64 Turok, and all that shit. So
yeah, and then me and my buddy, we basically came to an agreement on what each other buys now. Because he just got a PS5 too, so he just bought Elden Ring. So once he's done with Elden Ring, I'm just going to borrow it from him.
There you go.
Yeah,
that's the way to do it, honestly.
And he just gave me Metroid Dread, which I never got to play. So
I want to play that too. Yeah, I found this way because I used to be addicted to Dota a long time, and I found a way to sell all of my Steam items. Like I found a program to like list them automatically. So I did that. I mean, things are worth 2 cents, 3 cents here and there, but when you have like thousands of them in your inventory, it starts to add up. Yep. So I got like 2 copies of Hogwarts Legacy for pretty much nothing in Steam, and then I'm slowly adding up. I want to get I can't think of that game that came out. It almost reminded me of like Beautiful Joe. It's like $30. It's on Steam right now. I don't know if it's on PS5, but it's like a third-person beat-em-up game, but it just looks crazy, like the colors and everything.
Was it like Hi-Fi Res?
Yeah, that one. That? Yeah, Hi-Fi.
It's actually a Xbox game.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Cool. And just to bring this all back to comics, Switch added all those like Sega games, and Comic Zone is on there. I don't know if you ever played it.
Oh yeah,
that game. I think it was listed in a Game Informer a long time ago as like one of the hardest games ever made. That game is so hard to play, but it is awesome. It's like you're in a comic book and you get to punch out of the panels and shit. That game is so cool.
So as an adult, I don't think I've beaten it, but I've gotten farther. As a kid, I would just play the first level over and over again because I couldn't get past it. Like, I was so bad at it.
Oh my god, the sewer! I remember being in the sewer and getting my ass kicked every time. Yeah, but it is comic book related. If nobody's ever checked it out, check it out, Comic Zone. All right, we got some stuff today. We do have some flashbacks for you. Again, coming from Korea. So thanks to Pat's Flashbacks for doing this. It also it's brought to you by this edition of Pat's Flashbacks. He must have listened to the last episode because it's brought to you by TimeZoneWizard.com. Time Zone Wizard is a handy dandy website to help plan meetings or comic podcasts across different time zones. So we're gonna have to start sending that link to a lot of our guests.
I'm gonna go ahead and write that one down.
Yep, Chris is taking notes. Yeah, it's you can pick like multiple locations, best times for your meetings. Yeah, so the running joke on this, I mean, a lot of people don't see what we're doing behind the scenes here. What Chris is doing behind the scenes. I don't take credit for any of that shit. I do consult here and there, but most of the work goes to him. There's always a miscommunication of setting dates and times and time zones because we've chatted with people in like Australia. The West Coast is always the worst, and even honestly, the ones that are worse, like the Midwest, because I never know if it's like 1 or 2 hours difference. Like that's the ones that kill you. Because those are the ones I never remember. Like West Coast, East Coast is easy, but the other shit in between makes no sense.
Yeah, we've had a bunch in like Chicago, and that's always most confusing to me.
Yeah,
it'd just be easier if everybody just lived on the East Coast and just like lived by my rules.
I've been saying, and it's going to happen. The Northeast will be the most desirable area of the U.S. to live in soon. So I keep telling people that. The more I say that, the more it'll be true. So
it won't, though.
No. I will say though, after being in California all last week, like driving from LA to San Fran, I never want to live in California ever again. I did it as a child, and it's just not. It's like the traffic isn't for me. The people aren't for me, especially in LA. I don't want to insult anyone that lives in LA, but it's just not for me. We'll just say that. And we know Richard Fairgray loves it.
Yeah.
So good for him. It's just not for me. The traffic alone will get you to just like cry.
I feel like I'm a man who should be living in like West Virginia in the middle of the mountains where nobody's around.
You want to be a mountain man? What are you going to be like, Ron Swanson?
I mean, that's the goal.
That's the dream. That's the dream. As long as there's high speed internet involved.
Yeah, let's gotta get the internet out there. Like once I get the internet out there, I'm good.
Yeah, you're good. I like where I am because you're like, we don't have to talk about geography anymore. Let's just get to the Pat's flashbacks. Sorry, everybody. We get a little sidetracked sometimes. So Caitlin, quote unquote, reveals herself to. Oh, so this is episode 2 of 13 on season 9, the last season of Flash. Everyone. Caitlin reveals herself to be called Snow. Okay. Team Flash tries to figure out a way to bring Caitlin and Frost back. They discover that they can only bring one of them back. The team argues and votes who to bring back. So it's like a Survivor situation. Snow decides that it's not up to the team, but up to her. She decides to stay herself and wants to be called Khione. Khione? Khione. I don't know if it's a typo, but that's what we're going with. I think there's some deeper story there about finding yourself, and that's fine. The only cool thing about Caitlin was the Killer Frost aspect in my eyes. So
correct.
So moving on, the Fiddler is on the hunt for Pied Piper to steal his power gauntlets. It's revealed that Fiddler is working for Red Death. Again, Red Death pops up. Together, Flash and Pied Piper defeat Fiddler, but then he's saved by Captain Boomerang, and they end up stealing the power gauntlets, giving them to the Red Death to help him stabilize into his physical form. Stay tuned for the next episode called Rogues of War. Okay, that sounds like a cool episode. And I will say I've talked with, Pat from Pat's Flashbacks about this and said, oh, these kind of sound like interesting episodes. And he's like, no, there's a lot of shit in there that I don't that I don't tell you about. So, and he has some speculation because he is the only one left watching the episode. So, if they don't end the show with the original meeting of Barry and Thawne in the future, he's going to riot. It makes him think that Red Death will be the villain for the first half of the season. Reverse Flash will come back to the end of the show. The show is going to end in May, and the Flash movie comes out in June. So Grant Gustin's available. So he might think they're going to try to tie something into the movie. And he's hoping that Diggle Green Lantern comes back and lead into a Green Lantern show. But that might have been what Berlanti was doing. But now that he's gone from DC completely, I don't know if we'll ever see the John Diggle Green Lantern.
Yeah, I don't think Grant's done after this. In my opinion, I don't think he's coming. But if that movie does not include a cameo for Grant, then DC, the old DC guard, just proves my point that they don't know what the fuck they're doing. Because if you remember, Ezra got a cameo in the TV show.
Yeah, he did. I remember that. Oh, yeah.
So if they don't do it the other way around, like, get out. I'm glad you're gone if you didn't do that.
And the dude didn't even earn his, I wanted to say stripes, but lightning bolts yet, because he hadn't had a solo. Like, Grant Gustin put in the work, and then you're just like, hey, Grant, we're going to have this other guy. He's going to make a bigger check than you when his movie comes out, and he's just going to show up. We know you're the star of the show, but this will really boost our ratings if this other dude comes in and for like 5 seconds.
He needs the money, He's got some people to kidnap.
He's got to pay off those court cases. I don't know if I told you this story, but I am related. Well, not related, but somebody. I don't want to get anybody in trouble here, so I will say somebody that I know. His parents are from the town in Vermont where Ezra, did his thing in a bar in Vermont, like was made a complete asshole of himself. They're actually friends with those bar owners or something, and they saw it all unfolding that night, and I think took a picture of it or something. It was crazy. Like I had heard through a friend of a friend that they were there, and I was like, wow, that is wild.
That's kind of amazing.
And I think the funny part was like someone recognized him and was like, isn't that the guy from Perks of a Wallflower? Had no idea he was the Flash or going to be the Flash. So I just thought that was funny that got back to me somehow.
That's where you pull him from. Is a thing that I've never heard of before this moment. Okay.
Yeah, it's supposedly a good movie. I've never watched it, but joking aside, we hope Ezra gets all the help they need and all that stuff. And the Flash looks amazing. They released another photo of Michael Keaton looking crazy, messing with some controls in the Batcave. All I can think of is the scene in Batman where he's like, "You want to get nuts? Let's get nuts." So hopefully he says that, "Let's get nuts," because if he doesn't, that's another missed opportunity. Ant-Man and the Wasp. Okay, you saw it. I didn't, but I have had some stuff spoiled for me. I don't care. I'm going to probably wait till this comes out on streaming just because I didn't have a chance to see it with some people this week. I did see the reviews. I don't think it deserves the reviews from what I've heard from people because it has some pretty poor reviews on every site right now. So what do you think? What's your...
The reviews are wrong.
Okay.
Like just flat out wrong. This is the best MCU movie of this new like post Endgame MCU, hands down. And I'm not counting. So that's what was the Spider-Man after Endgame? That's still part of the Endgame MCU.
Well, this is technically the start of Phase 5, right?
Okay, so as far as Phase 4 and 5, this is the best MCU movie in my opinion.
Better than Doctor Strange?
Yes.
Man, I don't know. I'm just saying, Pizza Papa.
The movie's a blast. It would fit right in with some of the others in the first 3 phases. Like it's fun. It's got a lot of adventure. The humor in it is like correctly paced instead of just thrown in every 2 seconds. You'll watch it and probably think the same thing I do. It's the best Star Wars movie we've gotten since Episode 7. Like everything about it just screams Star Wars.
Okay.
MODOK is phenomenal.
Yeah, that's
I couldn't have asked for them to do a better job.
Yeah.
Everybody's going to fall in love with Broccoli Man because he's amazing. and the Kang stuff is great. I really had a ton of fun with this movie, and you can tell like Rotten Tomato, obviously the audience score is much higher than the critic score.
Yeah.
And there's a reason for that. It's because it's not really a deep movie or this like groundbreaking thing, but it reminds me of those first couple phases of Marvel where it's like we're doing a superhero movie that's a genre movie, and the genre is like epic sci-fi, fantasy sci-fi.
Yeah. And to the Marvel fans that are weirded out by those reviews, with the user reviews being higher, welcome to the DC world.
Yeah, I mean, this is only the second time it's happened.
Yeah.
I think honestly, reviewers are just getting bored with the MCU, which whatever, you know.
And you have to take into account the main villain came from a TV show, where I think movie critics don't necessarily dabble in TV shows. Like if they're just watching this for the sake of movie critiquing. Yeah.
But I don't think you need to have watched that show to understand like. I think someone who'd never watched Loki could walk into this and completely get Kang. Like they do a great job of explaining Kang as if you never watched it. Post-credit scenes were fantastic.
Heard about
they obviously
those.
set up some cool stuff in the future. I won't spoil those for anybody. But like just going back to MODOK, like the way they did MODOK, tying him into Ant-Man. It's obviously not the actual MODOK story, but like they got the humor of MODOK right, like the threat of MODOK, the silliness of MODOK, and when he takes, I mean, we talked about it, it's in the trailers, when he takes the mask off and you just see that big goofy face. I died laughing, just so happy.
Yeah, that's awesome.
So yeah, if you got a chance to go see it, I really recommend it. Go with some friends or something and just have a good time, because that's what this movie is.
The funny part about the MODOK thing was like when Katie went to go see it this week, and she came back from the movie and she said that the guy with the big face on that show you were watching was in it. And I was like, oh yeah, MODOK. She was like, I did not expect that.
It's phenomenal.
Yeah, I forgot about that too.
And the dude from The Good Place is in it. He plays a great role. I can't remember the actor's name.
Bill Murray's in it.
So here's the shocker. Bill Murray's in it. It is amazing how little they use Bill Murray.
Really?
Like for him to be like a selling point of like, we got Bill Murray. He's in one scene.
One scene? Oh my God.
One scene.
He's very old, so
highly recommend people go see this, even if you're not so hot on the MCU right now. It's such a fun movie.
I just don't know if I'll have an opportunity to see it without going by myself to the theater, and I don't know if I really want. There's only a select few movies I'll go like out by myself to see it, so I might just wait for it. You know.
I would have gone by myself if I didn't get a text Thursday being like, I bought you a ticket, we're going.
Yeah, I know. Just for MODOK alone for you, dude.
So my one buddy was like, yeah, we're going to the local Regal. I got you a ticket already. So I'm like, okay, when do I show up?
Get in the car, we're going. Yeah, and I think the only reason I would go to see it in the theater is to watch the Flash trailer on a big screen. Did you get to see that?
Did not.
Oh, well, all right. I don't feel so bad now.
Got Guardians, Indiana Jones, and I forget what the first one was, but
I wish we had an Alamo Draft House around us. We don't, sadly, in New York. One of our friends that lives in one of the Carolinas, can't remember, but he said they did a special like drink menu and like special menu for Ant-Man. It was like a tiny menu, and they gave you a magnifying glass with it.
That's phenomenal. Yeah, I think there's one near my parents in Florida.
Yeah, I think it's like a southern chain. They're really cool.
And when I'm down there at the end of March, I'll see what's out, but I might just go there just to experience it.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. Pretty cool place. All right, everybody. I think we're going to jump over to this interview with Rich Douek, and we'll see you all on the other side.
And we're back.
We're back. That production quality.
I got sound effects now, everybody.
So high end. And if you couldn't hear, that was a comic book page turning very aggressively.
Yes.
So check out Birth of Shadows. Read the first issue. Very cool stuff. Very cool art. Looking forward to that. And looking forward to some comic book news. We got quite a bit here. Yeah, lots of this. Marvel announced that Daredevil and Echo are teaming up for a new 4-issue series this summer. The comic titled, of course, Daredevil and Echo #1, will be written by Taboo and B. Earl, with art by Phil Noto. Don't know anything that's going on with that book, so I don't know if you like Echo, if that's your thing.
I could care less about Echo, but I don't know. I'm a Daredevil guy, so I'll pick it up. I think it's what we say is 4 issues.
4 issues, yeah.
Never read anything that Taboo does or has done. So I don't know how he is as a comic writer, but people seem to like him.
Mm-hmm. That's good.
Yeah, I mean, it's got to go in my Daredevil collection, right?
Yeah, right. DC has given us more info on the previous announced Batman Brave and the Bold series. The comic looks basically to take place of the current Batman Urban Legends, as it will be 64-page anthology series. The main story will be written, as previously announced, Tom King, with art by Mitch Gerards, and will be about the first clash between Batman and the Joker. Boo. The first issue will also feature stories by Dan Mora, which will be the first series of Batman black and white stories featured throughout the series. Christopher Cantwell and artist Javier Rodriguez. It seems that the stories will continue through multiple issues instead of being one and done. Boo. Batman Brave and the Bold, okay. Why would you even call it that if you're not going to have him team up with a different hero every issue? And why are we bringing the Joker in? Like, can Tom King just leave the Joker alone, step away from Batman, and just keep doing that weird shit he's doing? Anyways, that's all I'm going to say.
I never have I gone from like will buy 100% to there's no fucking way I'm picking up this book.
Yeah. This sounds like a clusterfuck of a book.
It's first of all, like you said, it's not Brave and the Bold.
Right.
Like nothing about this screams Brave and the Bold.
No.
So why not just continue the Urban Legends line and let Tom King take over?
Yeah.
Because this is what Urban Legends, like I pick up Urban Legends and I don't get to read them right away because they're not like on top of my pile.
Right.
But they're okay. They're little short stories of Batman. It depends who's on the book.
Right.
But this is what that is. Like it's an anthology book of Batman, and then like people do like 3 or 4 issue things. This should have been 64 pages, one-shot stories. Batman teams up with X.
Right.
That's it. But so nope, this just fell straight off my poll list with this news.
About the first clash between Batman and the Joker. Who cares, man?
That
people care though. A lot of people are going to buy this.
Yeah.
No fault in you guys. There's things I like about Batman, and we have a solo Batman book, so like we don't need another solo Batman book about Joker.
And yeah, like you said, it's people are going to buy it because this is Batman on the cover. I mean, listen, I'm guilty of this as well. I just said I'm buying a Daredevil book, even though I'm not too hot on it because it has Daredevil on the cover. I do the same with Star Wars, but for me, you need to pull. I mean, I love Batman, but you got to pull me in with something,
right?
And pull me in with the writer who I'm not so hot on, and then throwing in an overused villain in an anthology format that isn't the title of the book. I don't know. I'm just not about this personally.
In 64 pages, it's going to be like a $6 book,
$6-7 book. Yeah. There's just no. I'm not doing this.
Yep. Speaking of a lot of crazy DC stuff, following premieres in Lazarus Planet, DC has announced some new comics coming this summer as part of the dawn of the DC universe. So here we go, some new labels. Spirit World will be a 6-issue series that teams up Constantine, Cassandra Cain, and a new character, Zandra, as they delve into the spirit world. The series will be written by Alyssa Wong with art by Haining. That one sounds pretty cool.
Yeah, this was in... Did you read Dark Fate?
I can't remember which one that was. I'm sure I read
the most recent.
The one from this week. I haven't finished it. I thought that book's on the bottom of my pile because, like you said, it is a teaser.
Okay. There's a story in there from this team about this book.
Yeah.
That sets it up, and no, ain't for me.
Yeah. City Boy, I did read this one. Will be a 6 issues featuring City Boy, premiered in Wildstorm 30th Anniversary Special #1. He travels to famous DC cities and uses his power to communicate with the cities. The series will be written by Greg Pak, art by Minkyu Jung and Sunny Go. It sounds like an interesting story. I don't know if I'll pick it up because I don't know.
If they didn't do this Lazarus Planet thing, I would have picked up the first issue. Yeah. Because the idea sounds cool and interesting, and they could do something fun with it. And I like Greg Pak.
Yeah.
But it was in Lazarus Planet, and I read it, and
I didn't care for it.
Didn't do it for me. So
yeah, it really didn't.
This no one for too. Me, dog.
It sucks because I love Ram V, but this Vigil will be a 6-issue series about a team known as Vigil that fights against metahuman research used for military applications. What the hell? I don't give a shit about any of that. This series will be written by Ram V with art by Lalit Kumar Sharma. Listen, huge fan of Ram V, and the art was great, but I don't care about this team called Vigil.
So once again, if this was not in Lazarus Planet, I probably would have picked up issue 1 because it sounds like something I would enjoy.
Yep.
But I read Lazarus Planet and I didn't enjoy it. So I think honestly, we talk about this book, this event, quote unquote, and why we're not digging it. And while I think this might work for some people, it's had the opposite. Like they've lost sales from me because of this book.
Oh yeah, for sure. So be curious to know about our friend who owns the comic shop, like what's going on with that series.
It's, it goes the same way with Marvel, so I'm not even picking on DC fans.
Right.
It's a DC event, so it does really well.
Okay.
So
I have a feeling like this is like New 52 all over again. You start this off with 3 series that nobody cares about. These are not going to sell anything.
I mean, these are kind of the 3, like, if you really think about it, Dawn of DC. So Dawn of DCU starts like next week, essentially. This week, actually. Today, as you're listening to this, everybody, with Superman. So they did it right in terms of going Superman and then Batman and like picking the right characters to start with. These are the ancillary, and they're only 6-issue series.
Yeah.
And at least they're smart enough to do that. Because I remember like New 52, they'd be like, it's an ongoing, and then cancel it after 8 issues.
Number 1, Frankenstein, Agent of Shade.
Well, like that OMAC book that I liked because I've never read an OMAC book before, and apparently that's the reason everybody tells me I like it.
Yeah,
and it gets canceled after 8 issues. I'm like, this is supposed to be an ongoing though. Nope, it's an 8-issue miniseries. Okay.
Everything's 6 issues now until it sells issues and then becomes like an 18-issue book. DC Black Label is getting a new 6-issue series called Peacemaker Tries Hard by writer Kyle Starks, art by Steve Pugh. The series will follow Peacemaker as he tries to become a regular superhero after his time with Task Force X. Hell yeah.
Yeah.
I'm reading this one. This is easy. Like, come on. There you go. You have my money.
Yeah, 100%. And like, I love Kyle Starks. I don't read everything he does, but like when I do read the stuff he does, it's phenomenal. So this sounds so much like, I'm sure Kyle's going to have a blast with this. Like it's going to be probably around the same themes as like the TV show, I would assume.
Yeah, I would hope so. Yeah. Can't wait for that. Batman Beyond the White Knight finished up this week, and it was a pretty fantastic ending. It was shown at the end of issue 8 what is next for the series. There will be a Batman White Knight Presents Generation Joker, which will be a story about Jack Napier Joker going down memory lane with his children. The second will be World's Finest White Knight, which promises to include characters shown at the end of issue 8 like Wonder Woman, Jon Stewart, Green Lantern, and of course Superman. I'm not so crazy about the Generation Joker, but I will be reading the World's Finest White Knight because that sounds awesome.
Yeah, I'll get both because I got the whole series. I got to finish the.
Yep.
So we'll talk more in depth about issue 8 later, but my prediction is they're calling it World's Finest. Like, I think eventually it'll be they have to team up against fucking Brainiac or some shit.
Yeah, of course.
But I think the first half of this is going to be him doing Dark Knight Returns again.
Oh yeah, that'd be sick.
Because like all of these White Knight books have been basically his versions of different DC, like popular DC things.
Yeah, right.
So like, why wouldn't he do Dark Knight Returns?
And then like do a Justice League book.
I almost wonder, maybe like this will end and it'll be like, this is why we need a Justice League or whatever. Because we can talk now or later, I don't care. But like Wonder Woman and Green Lantern show up, but they're not Wonder Woman and Green Lantern.
Yeah, which is pretty cool. I like their styles. This is pretty cool. IDW announced a new TMNT crossover titled Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles vs. Street Fighter. The series will be 5 issues said to pit two franchises against each other in a fighting tournament set in Atlantic City. TMNT versus Street Fighter will be written by Paul Allor alongside artist.
Oh, I forgot the artist. Let's look it
Chris
up.
is going into deep space to look this up. For someone who doesn't read a lot of, I don't read any Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles or Street Fighter. This sounds pretty cool though.
Yeah, I'm kind of burnt out on these crossovers, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
So I'm not too sure if I'm going to pick it up, but it's a cool idea.
Mm-hmm. No, for sure.
Paul Allor, Ariel Medell is the artist.
Okay. Yeah, I still like that IDW is doing stuff like that. I was just going through my bookshelf the other day and saw the Green Lantern Spectrum War with the crossover with Star Trek. That was awesome.
I remember. I don't think it was IDW. It might have been Titan, but it was Green Lantern Planet of the Apes crossover. It was really good.
Oh yeah, I remember that too.
Yeah. But I was like, I like the Turtles, and I pick up books by them like sparingly because I do enjoy them, but they're not. I'm not hardcore about them. So like to have a crossover every 6 months, like I don't know, down the line I might pick this up, but just I'm not a big Street Fighter fan either. So
right. All right, let's talk about what we read this week. I found one that I wasn't even like aware that was coming out, but I had to get anyways. Masters of the Universe, Masterverse, #1. This is a Tim Seeley book about Masters of the Universe. Basically, there's a character, and I don't know if this is canon. His name's Zodak. I don't know if he's ever appeared before because I kind of just glimpse over the Masters of the Universe stuff. He's basically Metron. He just observes all universes and like floats around on a chair.
Oh, so the Watcher?
Yeah, basically the Watcher, Metron, whatever you want to be. But he does say that he floats around in a chair and the Watcher stands, so more DC than Marvel. But basically there's something about like He-Man needs to prove himself, so they're just observing like He-Man across different universes and like different fights that he's got in. So like each one is a different artist, and it's like an anthology book. Different artists, different artwork and stories. I thought it was good. The only problem was like the second story in it had this really awful like Saturday morning newspaper artwork that made it look like a cartoon. I didn't really care for that, but I'm sure there's going to be good and bad ones. This is something that's right up my alley, so I'll stick with it. Okay, Swamp Thing, Green Hell #2. Over a year after. Still really good.
Last week I said 2 years.
Yeah,
it was 14 months.
14 months. Okay. Yes. Jeff Lemire, Doug Mankey, and the art. This was a great issue. The art is absolutely fantastic. Basically, the new Parliament of Green is killing people. They ask for Constantine, resurrect Swamp Thing and is like, you need to help us. And there's something else going on with Constantine and Deadman because they know where Swamp Thing's wife and child are being held, and they're like the key to like fighting the parliaments. Like there's going to be a war against the parliaments, and Swamp Thing saves the day, but at the end of it, there's like these monstrosities that are like a combination of all 3 parliaments coming out of the ocean, and it looks sick. I thought it was a solid second issue. Just wish we got it a year earlier,
Yeah, it was a great second issue. I reread that first issue, and I remember how much I loved it, like the premise and everything. So I think that, Lemire's writing this. He did Animal Man, and I think a little bit of Swamp Thing during New 52.
Yep.
His Animal Man's fantastic. Everybody pick that one up. I think he's going to resurrect like that pseudo Justice League Dark.
That'd be sick. Oh yeah, the reveal at the end was Animal Woman showing up. That was awesome.
Oh yeah. Because I think that's Animal Man's daughter.
Yeah.
So, I think he's going to like create either his own Justice League Dark or like whatever that team was that was in that book. It's been a while since I read it, but I dug this issue. The art is phenomenal.
Yeah, amazing art. Doug Mankey is killing it. Fantastic Four, issue #4. This is North and Coelho on the art. Um, this book, so we finally get to the reason of like why the Fantastic Four split up and not talking to each other. So basically, they're fighting like this invasion from the negative zone. This is like a while ago. This happens. I can't remember how many months previously they say this happens, but basically, like the Baxter Building is under attack. Um, this was 5 months earlier, and the only way that Reed Richards can save everybody is if he blips. Like the things from the negative zone understand time travel, so he had to like change the equation of time travel and like blip the whole square block the Baxter Building is on out of existence. So when he did that, that removes all the humans, all the people in the area out of existence. So like, mothers, fathers, children, their children, Grimm's children are gone, and he says basically we have 1 year, and then they'll all appear back where they were. And he's like, well, that might be fine, like to save them, but you've literally left people like they should, like orphans being abandoned because their parents are gone now, all this crazy shit. So like that's why there was this falling out with Reed, and something was going on with Grimm and his wife where they were like trapped in like this trance and they needed to be saved by they all had to meet up and help each other and save each other. So they kind of all are back on good terms, and obviously like Reed is really upset about the whole thing. And now we're kind of getting more side stories because they're going back in time and talking about other stories, but we finally get a reason of like why they had split apart to begin with. It's a great story. I'm liking this run of Fantastic Four. Some books I haven't read yet. Oh, I read Batman last week. That was a good issue, like you said. With the multiverse stuff. Nemesis Reloaded #2.
Good stuff.
Yeah. I'm just flipping through it right now. This is the Mark Miller book. We get like the origin of the fucked up Batman and how he became that way. He basically, comes from the League of Shadows. But if their League of Shadows was like R-rated, he trains his mind and body, and then we get this like thing where the police chief isn't as good as he thinks he is, and the issue ends with like Nemesis driving a car and like knocking him out of the helicopter and like falling to the ground. So it was a little more like insight into why the character is the way he is. And obviously, a lot of people are killing the police in the area because he put a bounty on all of their heads.
Yeah, basically turning. I think it's supposed to be L.A., right?
Yeah.
Yeah, turning L.A. into like a just craziness.
Yep.
Love the art in this. Like,
art's really good.
Is it Javier? Who's doing the art?
I can look that up.
It's an old Batman artist, but the art is phenomenal. I love the action sequences in this. These 2 issues have been phenomenal.
And then the last book I had was Batman, The White Knight #8. So Sean Murphy, Dave Stewart. We kind of talked about this a little bit already. They wrap up the entire, the big assault on Powers, and he has all these bat mechs and bat wings that he's fighting everybody with. Batman puts the cowl back on, which is awesome. We see the final fight with like Terry McGinnis and Powers and a lot of people being reunited, and then we get that glimpse of like Green Lantern working for the FBI with Wonder Woman, which is pretty sick. And then they show Batman, Superman, and they're like, hey, we need your help with this dude. I'm sure you've done your research, kind of thing.
Love the back and forth between Joker and Batman of like Joker likes the Tumbler better than the 89 car and stuff like that.
Yeah, that was fun.
White Knight as a whole, if you've never read it before, I mean, start from the beginning. It's such a phenomenal series. Some of the side books have been okay, but like the core, I think it's 3 now series are just amazing. Like these are some of my favorite things.
Yeah, I had some other books like Lazarus Pit and Hulk that I haven't read yet that I need to get to.
Well, you said it. So Lazarus Planet, Dark Fate, #1. I feel the same way as I do with the rest of Lazarus Planet. I mean, The Doom Patrol story is in here, pretty good.
Mm-hmm.
Still kind of mulling whether I'm going to read Doom Patrol or not. There's a Huntress story, but it's the Huntress I don't really care for that much. And when I have the one true Huntress in JSA, yeah, it's kind of just okay. But she does fight Onomatopoeia, which made me happy. So, and then the other one was the Spirited. I almost said Spirited Away. The Spirit World book. Didn't really care for it. You will probably dig that more than I will because it's very like Asian film inspired.
Oh, okay, cool. I'll probably dig it.
And yeah, but I don't know. As a whole, Lazarus Planet's been kind of meh. 8 Billion Genies, number 7. This is a really interesting issue because it kind of goes 8 decades into the future.
Mm-hmm.
But there's like time jumps throughout, so it tells like little stories about everybody, and then we get to a point where we're left with only one of the original characters.
Mm-hmm.
And I like the world that's built here and everything. I'm interested to see how he ties it all together because now the one character that's left, I won't spoil it, but they're left with, they still have their wish, and now they feel like this is the most important wish of anybody because they're the only person left that's had it since the beginning.
Okay, cool.
So I'll be interested to see how he ends it, but I really like that series. Hulk number 12 is Hulk kind of losing control. He starts to realize he needs to leave the planet to save everybody, but before he's able to, something inside his mind takes over, and this like alter ego comes out and starts to kind of go on a rampage. And then meanwhile, like Samson is talking with the Avengers and mostly Doctor Strange, but they're in Avengers Tower at one point.
Mm-hmm.
And he's like, something's wrong with the Hulk and we need to do something about it. It's been pretty good. Still kind of sad that like Donnie's off of it, but I think that Otley's doing a pretty good job just kind of wrapping everything up for him.
Yep.
Avengers Forever, number 14. This is part 7 of the Avengers Assemble story. This is basically a giant fight story, like book, because all the Dooms have come to the Avenger Prime mansion or tower, and they're trying to fight off the Dooms. So there's some cool moments of like them fighting the Doom planet, like the Ego Doom planet, and then all the different heroes coming together. But a lot of this is based around the one battalion that's all Captain America's. And there's like a kind of a heartwarming story of one of the characters who ends up dying and another one has to take over, and kind of throughout the book you're reading this note from him, and it ends in a way of like he never really had anybody at home and all this stuff. So it was kind of like heartbreaking at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
And then Mephisto shows up at the end. So
oh boy,
I'm really enjoying this. It's been a blast. Like, it's just craziness.
awesome.
Batman the Adventure Continues, season 3, number 2. This is all about Harley is trying to meet up with an old fling from college, and then we find out that this old fling was, I mean, let's just say she gets around, because you find out she had a thing with Bruce Wayne back then.
Okay.
She also was like hooking up with Two-Face on the sides, and Harley's like wants to, now that the Joker's gone, she wants to like rekindle the romance with her.
Mm-hmm.
And when she goes there, she ends up getting kidnapped, and that's when they go through and kind of talk to Two-Face and everybody and try to figure out what's going on. They end up finding out in the end that she kidnapped herself because all of her money was stuck in a trust fund.
Oh,
and that was her way of getting it out. So it was a pretty fun issue, but it was a lot. You're gonna have a tough time with it because it's a lot of Batman and Harley like working together.
Yeah, I might have not grabbed that one yet just because I saw the cover and
the art also, they changed artist.
Yeah, I wasn't too happy with it.
And that bugged me a lot because one of the things about it is that even though I'm not a big fan of the New Adventures of Batman art style,
Right.
I like these books because they copied that art style, and at least it stuck with it.
It was
and this
similar,
is something different.
Yeah.
So hopefully they go back to it. But and I got I Hate Fairyland number 4. So in this we start with Gert is with her like friends in hell, and they're trying to give her an intervention.
Mm-hmm.
And she's all mad because she thinks they're trying to get her to stop drinking. Well, the real problem is that she hasn't taken a bath since she's been in hell, and it's been over a year, so she stinks.
Oh my God.
So then somebody tells her like, there's a lake down the road or whatever. You can go in there and take a bath. What they don't tell her is that there's this giant monster there, and they sacrifice virgins to it.
Oh, great.
So everybody's convinced because she smells so bad, she's a virgin. So she goes for a swim and gets eaten by this monster. Amazing. And you have this whole time lapse where it looks like she's been there for like years, trying to live inside this monster's stomach, and ends up some guy, like this hunky dude comes down, like Fabio style, blonde, long hair and everything, and meets with her, and she falls in love, and they get down to the nasty.
Oh, wow.
That's when her friends come and save her, and they catch her, and what it really was that she took a bunch of the innards of this monster and created basically a flesh puppet.
Oh, God.
And that's what she got down with.
Oh, boy. Amazing.
And then when they get her out there, they inform her that she'd only been down there for 4 hours. So they're not quite sure like why she got so lonely.
What the hell?
And they kill the monster that she's inside of. Well, that like flesh puppet thing gets puked out with her. Ew. And they're like, yeah, shouldn't we do something with that? And she just goes, nah, like, we'll just leave it. As long as a blue fairy doesn't show up, it's fine. And of course, a blue fairy shows up and ends by turning it into basically a Pinocchio. And this is the last panel.
God. What the hell?
It's phenomenal.
What the hell? That's
it took a few issues, but I'm loving I Hate Fairyland again.
Yeah, like, that's wild.
This book is so crazy. And the artist that took over Scotty's still writing it, but the artist who's doing the art for it has everything down that Scotty was doing really well. So I'm loving this book.
Awesome, dude. That sounds great.
Mike, that was everything I had this week. So where could people find you on the internet?
You can find me at Fortress Ricker on Twitter. Where can they find you and or the show?
You can find me at Fortress Chris on Twitter, and you can find the show at Fortress Comics _ on Twitter. Also at FortressComicNews.com. Remember, everybody, 5 stars in the podcatcher. Like, subscribe, share, comment down below in the YouTube version. Whatever you can do to show us that you like the show. And if you want to go the extra mile, now go to the Patreon at patreon.com/FortressComics. But you can also check the show notes for the affiliate links down below. Thank you all so much for watching and or listening this week, and we will see you all here next week.